Do I know you?
Uh, no.
I do know you.
I don't think so.
You used to be at Mount Vernon. You worked in the stables. I worked in the mansion house with Mrs. Washington.
Uh, no offense, woman, but I think you're mistaken.
I'm never mistaken about faces. You are either Harry Washington from Mount Vernon or someone who looks just like him.
A lot of people look like me.
And do they have a cut on the cheek right where you do, Harry?
Uh, it's possible.
And a nose out of joint the way you do, Harry, because the master's horse Nelson's kicked them?
Say, who are you anyway?
I'm Deborah, Harry. Deborah from the big house.
You can't be.
You danced with me once at the harvest dance and kissed me afterward.
I suppose it's possible. Look, I meant no harm.
There was no harm. I kind of liked it in spite of your funny nose.
Deborah. Mrs. Washington's girl, Deborah. Oof, you look different.
Yes, it's 7 or 8 years since I've seen you. I was just a girl when I danced with you, and I'm a grown woman now.
Yes, you are.
And I've had the smallpox. I'm not pretty anymore.
I don't know about that, Deborah. I mean, if you need somebody to dance with sometime,
Yes.
or you need somebody to kiss you sometime, just say my name.
Hush, Harry. I'm a married woman now.
You mean I missed my chance?
You sure did. I got married 2 months ago to Henry Squash, a nice man I met here in New York. Besides,
Yes.
I did say your name, Harry, just now, and you pretended you didn't know me?
Well, I guess we all changed, Deborah. I mean, the man you knew at Mount Vernon was a slave, and I'm a free man. I fought for the king. The governor said if we fought for the king, we would be free. And I did. A lot of us died for the king, but I'm still here and free.
Good for you, Harry. It was the same with me.
Hmm. You fought for the king?
In a way, there was another proclamation. Any slave at all who would run away and join the British would be free. And I did, and I'm free.
Uh, Deborah, I did recognize you. I'm sorry I pretended not to.
But why?
Well, I'm so worried these days. The war is over. We lost. The king lost. And now the rebels, the Americans, want their slaves back. Now I hear there's slave owners here in New York at this very moment, searching for us. I don't know who to trust.
But we're free. The governor and the king made us a promise.
Yes, they did. They did. But I hear the king's ministers signed a peace treaty with the rebels over in France. And they promised to give back all the property they had taken, including the slaves.
But we're not slaves anymore.
Yeah, I know. But as I said, I don't know who to trust.
Hmm. You think they would just hand us over? You think we can't trust the promise from the king?
I don't know, Deborah. I don't know.
General Carleton, welcome.
Thank you, General Washington. I would say that you have received me royally, were not royalty somewhat out of favor in this land. So instead, I will thank you for this gracious Republican welcome.
Through 8 long, bitter years, our countries have made war on each other, Sir Guy. Now it falls to you and to me to have a part in making peace between them.
Where shall we begin?
I fear the most difficult questions are the questions of property. American property seized in the war, compensation for property damaged or destroyed in the war.
And likewise, property seized from loyalists in the war, or damaged or destroyed, payment for property left behind by loyalists moving to Canada or Jamaica or Britain.
I fear that you and I today must face the most difficult question of all.
Indeed. Which question is that?
Runaway slaves.
Huh?
I understand that thousands of them are currently living in New York City under your administration.
There are indeed thousands of Negroes living in New York City. I do not doubt that some of them have run away from their former masters.
I am reliably informed that there are even a few who have run away from Mount Vernon, my plantation in Virginia.
And you wish, do you, to have them return to your service?
I personally have made no attempts of that sort, but plantation owners from Virginia tell me that they have come to New York in hopes of recovering their property.
Their former workers, you mean?
Yes, indeed, they're former workers, and they hope their future workers, their property, their lawful property.
They're slaves, you would say.
Yes, I would. I do say that. They have come to claim their property, their slaves, and they have been prevented by your subordinates, by your officials, civil and military, who still govern the city of New York.
Yes, we do. We do still govern. We do still keep order in the streets of New York. We do still protect the thousands of loyalists who have taken refuge in the city. We do still protect outsiders from laying violent hands upon them and carrying them off. The peace treaty has not yet been finally signed and ratified, and we have not yet turned the city over to you.
Very well. I understand. I too believe in order. But the treaty will be signed and ratified. You will turn the city over to us in just a few months. Will you still protect these people then?
We shall, but not here.
Not here?
We are making arrangements to transport all those who wish to remain subjects of His Majesty to places where he still reigns. Canada, Jamaica, even Britain.
Including the slaves?
Including the slaves. The former slaves, I prefer to say. It is not clear that they can still today be classified as slaves.
What doubt can there be? Back home in Virginia, we still have the bills of sale for most of them.
They were enslaved under British colonial law.
Of course they were.
But then, at a later point in time, they were freed under that same British law by royal proclamations promising freedom to any who would join our side in the war. The slaves who believed in that promise and came to us are, I believe, slaves no longer.
Wartime proclamations, desperation schemes. Do you believe, sir, that they are still legally binding in this long-awaited time of peace?
What I believe, sir, is simple. I believe that a promise is a promise.
You amaze me.
And I believe that a promise made by His Majesty through his ministers is not a promise that I can break.
I see. I see. And what, Carlton, do you propose to do with all these loyal Black subjects of your king?
I propose to transport them to His Majesty's other dominions, like all the other loyalists who wish now to leave.
Then you will violate both the letter and the spirit of the peace treaty, which specifically forbids carrying away any Negroes or other property of the American inhabitants.
Yes, I know.
You know, and yet you still mean to do it?
I do. Where the peace treaty is in conflict with His Majesty's promise, then as a subject and a soldier of His Majesty, I will honor and uphold his promise.
Carlton, this is not about slavery. I have known many fine Negroes. I have worked beside some at Mount Vernon. I have fought beside them in battle. I see that they are fundamentally like you and me, with the same qualities and the same feelings. My conscience tells me more and more that slavery is evil. A necessary evil, perhaps, but still evil. I hope that someday slavery will perish from the earth.
And yet,
we are not here today, Carlton, you and I, to debate the question of slavery. We are here to implement the agreement signed by our governments, which says that you must hand them over.
oh, I know what it says. And I say, Washington, that I will not.
Then you do a great injury to the property owners of my country.
No doubt. But handing them over would be a greater injury to the Negroes themselves.
We are at an impasse.
We are. See here, Washington. I recognize the property rights of the owners, and I think they must be compensated.
Compensated? How so?
We are compiling a book of Negroes containing all the names and ages and occupations and former owners of all those we propose to transport.
I do not believe that mere payments of money can compensate for this breach of the peace treaty.
For my part, Washington, I do not believe that it is a mere question of property. I believe it is and will remain a question of slavery and freedom. You Americans have said all along that you are fighting for freedom. Now you must show the world what you mean by that for all your people.
I agree. We must. And God helping, we will. Carlton, I know that you, as a soldier, are like me, devoted to the long game.
I suppose I am. Yes, the long game.
For most of the past 8 years, I was commander of a hopeless cause. But here we are. I know that our new American country must solve this problem, this hopeless, impossible problem. But I believe that we will solve it, if not sooner, then later, but someday.
Deborah. Deborah from the big house in Mount Vernon. Whew.
You mean Deborah that sailed away from New York City?
You bet. That's the one I mean. What are you doing here in Birchtown at the end of the world?
I'm looking for you, Harry, of course. You said if I needed someone to dance with, I should call your name.
I remember. I did say that. But I also remember that you said you were a married lady and that I had missed my chance.
Well, that was then, but it's not true now.
No?
My husband died about a year after we came here to Nova Scotia. So now I'm looking for you.
Looking for me? I thought you came here to get away from slavery and housework and Mrs. Washington.
Well, that too, of course. I did want to get away from all that.
But Deborah, I'm sorry to say that this time it's you that's missed your chance.
And how's that?
Well, now I'm the one who's married. I met Jenny here in Canada. She ran away from the war just like you and me. But tell me, how did your husband die?
I think maybe he died from too much Canada. Not enough food, sometimes too much work, sometimes no work at all, and no doctors. Nobody really knows what he died of, but I think that the doctor we had at Mount Vernon maybe could have saved him.
Yeah, I know what you mean. At Mount Vernon, there was always food and always help when you were sick.
The Washingtons took care of their property.
They did that. They did their property. Are you sorry you left all that? The doctor and the regular meals and that warm Virginia climate?
No way, never. It's cold here, and the people aren't friendly.
Hmm.
And life's hard. I'd rather be hungry and shivering, free woman right here than a slave in the comforts of Mount Vernon.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Deborah.
I missed my chance with you, Harry, but I didn't miss my big chance with life.
What chance was that? I mean, what can be better than your chance with me?
Freedom. The war opened up a door for me, just a crack, and I got right through it. And now I'm a woman of property.
Property? What kind of property? Have you got a farm, Deborah?
No way. I'm still working for other people.
So maybe you got a house.
No house either. Better than that.
You mean money? You've got money.
Better than that, Harry. Myself. Miss
Mm.
Washington doesn't own me. I own myself. My life is mine to make of it what I can.
You're right there, Deborah. That is better, even in a cold place.
And how about you, Harry? What's become of you here in Canada?
Well, they've put me in charge here.
In charge?
That's right. I'm an important man here.
Important like Mr. Washington from Mount Vernon. I hear that they've made him president now, down in the States.
Better than that.
Or like General Carleton, who wouldn't let Washington re-enslave us. He's Governor General now here in Canada.
Better than that, too.
What could be better than that, Harry? Has God appointed you some of his angels with everything but the wings? You don't look like an angel to me.
Better than that.
Okay, Harry, I give up. Tell me, what are you in charge of that makes you so important?
Me. I'm in charge of Harry Washington. I'm a free man. I make all my decisions for myself. There's nothing more important than that.
Harry,
Yes.
you tell your wife, Jenny, that she's a lucky woman. I hope she's good to you.
You know, Deborah, I will tell her that. We'll see what she says.